Hi, everybody. My name is Juan. As you probably know, I'm the brand strategist here at Timextender, and we are in a new episode of We Are Data. Today, I have Daniel with me, Daniel Verbrugge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, so
It's
I
difficult.
apologize for that. So, we are going to talk a little bit about data. We are going to talk about Daniel. He has a super interesting story. We were just chatting about it in the back end. And then we are going to talk about a little bit of time extender as well. So that's the concept. So we are going to move from different areas of the data space.
Perfect.
So I'm super excited to have you, Daniel. So take it away.
Thanks
Why
for having
don't
me.
you give us a brief introduction? So who you are, where you come
Yeah,
from, and maybe how did you end up in the data space actually?
yeah, sure. Yeah, so my name is Daniel Verbrugge, which is a very Dutch, almost Belgian name. Um, actually, I started out as a recording engineer. So I did a bachelor degree in that, and I've worked for big television shows, and but my passion was always music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've worked a lot from the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam. Saw amazing shows, and I loved it there. But during the bank crisis, I had no job anymore. So
Right.
I called my mom, and I was like, "Mom, what should I do with my life?" She was like, "You know what? Just go back to school. It's never too late to learn." So I did. So I did the bachelor degree, media information communication, so MIC, which is actually the course for archiving, actually, so digital archiving. But that was a little bit boring. So I was like, okay, so we've got all this data which we need to archive, and we've got all this metadata on finding the data. So what we're going to do with the data? And
Right.
that was actually the point that we got in contact with Angelika Klidas, who is my mentor, friend, and manager
What
for
makes
several years over companies. And it's like a red thread. How do you say that? Like the Chinese stuff. Anyway,
uh-huh.
she taught me and the class actually about business intelligence and the hows and the whys, and especially she taught us ClickView. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, since I've been working with ClickView, I was just sold. It opened my eyes to this whole new world of data and doing transformations and getting it right and calculating and whatever. So I was so enthusiastic about it that she said, "You know what? You should come and work for me." So she offered me a job right from the school benches,
Wow.
and got me to do click jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And after a couple of years of doing click, I was like, okay, I think I know a lot of click. Doing the backend turned out to be my passion. Didn't know that, but I always thought, I'm a very creative guy, so visualizing and doing all these kind of stuff suits me better. But it's actually the other way around. I'm creative in a different kind of way, not necessarily on visualizations and colors, but more like uh, creative solutions for getting the data where it's supposed to go. Um, I started using Timextender. I think now it's like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay. That's
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I've been with Timextender from almost the beginning that they've started to explore the Dutch market.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually took over the job from Alex van Wijnen. He worked at the
Okay.
company,
Shout out to
and
our
then I
solution
got flown
specialist.
in to finish it because he started working at Timextender. So that was pretty cool.
All right.
Yeah, and since then I'm just sold. I'm just hooked on Timextender. I do some click as well, but almost always on Timextender. Done some SSIS jobs as well, but I'd rather not because I'm used to Timextender now.
That's super nice to hear. Excellent.
Yeah,
Great to hear. So super interesting story. So you come from a music background. then an archivist, and then through that you end up in data. I think that's absolutely amazing. And I will imagine that when you mention metadata, obviously Timextender came to my head, of course. It's only obvious, but so. On that regard, so you are exposed to other. Do you work with other tools other than Timextender and ClickView, or is mainly your bread and butter, and then?
Well, I do some Microsoft stack stuff as well. So
Right. Okay.
some SSIS. I've worked with the other tools around it as well, so SSRS and SSAS. But not so much branching into other types of tools, other types of automation tools.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do some Azure stuff, which
Right.
is
Okay.
which is nice, but I still keep coming back to this is easier in Timextender. You know, this takes way less time if I just do it in time.
And just
So-
for the record, I'm not actually paying Daniel to say so. He's saying that by himself. So
No, but it's it's true, because it takes away so much of the tedious work. You know, creating a table and changing the data type, and then there's a change, and then I have to change everything again by hand. Finding it out where was it again, in which query over, or in which part of my environment do I have to take all the changes, and Timextender just makes my life a bit easier, so I can actually focus on bigger pictures, and that is what I believe that the business needs more. So less micromanaging on our tool is the best because it's lightning fast or it's whatever. But I'm just like, yeah, but I still have to do everything by hand. So yeah, I mean, your technology is amazing, but you know, the interfacing or how I have to work with it is still a lot of doing it by hand. And I guess, you know, a lot of people who love to program or true programmers by heart, you know, they love to do everything by hand, or you know, have a complete library of all their functions and just load that up everywhere and then doing their thing, which is pretty cool, but still it takes a lot of time, and I'm afraid that I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm the single point of failure.
Right.
Because I've got all the information, I've got all this knowledge about this platform and whatever, and suddenly I decide to change jobs, or I fall ill, or you know, whatever life happens. And then suddenly the company's like, I don't know how to work with this. Where can I find the people with the right skills? You know, so it's
business continuity. Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
And I mean, of course, as a consultant, you know, I see a lot of different companies and I see a lot of different places. So I'm always just passing by and passing by. Anyway, I'm never going to stay.
Right. Okay.
Not longer than my project, or maybe a year or two, and then it's, you know, time to move on, and the client should do it themselves. So yeah, I think it's very important that also the tools and the way you create your environments is sustainable and more easily transferable to different people.
That's a great statement. Thank you. Daniel, because you're talking about actually your clients, I think it's only fair to talk a little bit about Bitmetric, the company that you work for. So if you mentioned a couple of nuggets during this conversation already, but
right.
Could basically define a little bit what's the company philosophy, how many people are you working on the data space, you know, a little bit about the background of the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So at least in my opinion, Bitmetric, it's a smaller data-minded company. We actually started out with Barry Harmse, who is a big name in the Click community.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a background, especially also in data warehousing, and then started working with Qlik and saw, this is way easier than doing it also all by hand. But we had way more possibilities and the speed within the tool to load the data quicker and get your insights faster. And it had really nice visualizations back then. Because now it has little Windows 98, 95 vibe, which is pretty cool and pretty old school, but it's time to move on, I guess.
Right. Okay.
But everything, having the data engine, having the visualizations, and having this associative, how do I say that, engine actually, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And which is still, at least in my opinion, it's still beating all the competitors. And so that's where we came from. So we're a pretty Qlik-minded company, but also very. We want to know everything. So, if you've got a question on whatever within Qlik, and hopefully now also Timextender, we know, so we became a very specialist company.
Right.
We're working at this point with 9 colleagues, especially doing Qlik View, Qlik Sense projects. We do some data integration on the side. In a Microsoft tooling or in different kinds of tooling. It just depends what the client wants, really. And a big pillar now is also Timextender. And I guess with Bitmetric, it's just having it's a lot of having fun. It's a lot of having fun. If you're having fun, you never have to work a day in your life, or whatever the quote is. It's true. So we really want to have fun with what we do. So we really surround ourselves with people who are getting really enthusiastic about data, about the different kinds of tools and their possibilities. There are advantages, but also disadvantages. So we have to get creative and working our way around the parts within the tools which we don't necessarily really like, or which still need to grow. So it's about having fun. It's about having fun working for Bitmetric. Yeah.
That's excellent. Do you work with a specific verticals, or is basically whenever a customer approaches you, how do you tackle the market, if you like?
Well, we try to help everyone. We're all about helping.
That's a fair approach.
And I guess, sure, also commercially, but we really want to help people, and we really want to help our clients. From our previous experiences, especially in Qlik, but it should be less about the tools and more about the way to get there.
Right.
And I guess from way back, it was really about, we really need to go to Qlik or Tableau or Power BI, or we need to have all these tools, and then BI happens. and hopefully there's a change happening. So it should be more about the people, actually. So not necessarily getting the reports as deliverables to the people who need to use them, but the people who use them also need to educate themselves in, how does this data work? Where does it come from? What is a business rule? Why is it important? And a lot of people, they really know how to work with Excel, or they really know how to work with other types of reporting, which they make themselves. But for some reason there is a gap between the report and what's entered in the ERP systems.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in my opinion, people need to really need to get more feeling of where does it start and where does it go to, and what is my impact on the whole system.
Mm-hmm.
And combine that with a little bit of how can I improve my process, maybe how can I improve myself. Yeah, it will make the working with data a lot better.
Yeah. So, as you were talking, obviously, some of the elements that you have mentioned probably came to my mind, of a marketeer mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that came to mind is data culture and data literacy, as you are
Yeah.
talking. So it seems to be, and my follow-up question was, okay, so from your perspective as a consultant, and well, with the wealth of knowledge that you have in terms of data, what are the typical issues that you see? So, from what I understand, data culture probably is one of them, but is there any other two or three things that you see often and kind of a common denominator across the clients that you help?
Yeah, like I said, I think that from suppliers as well as within companies, the focus is still a little bit too much on the tools. So as long as we get the newest, hippest tools or get the fastest Azure streaming technologies or whatever, BI will happen or something, or insights will happen. So I think just the way I like to model my data is we need to go back to the 80s. Most things are actually already thought of in the 80s. So yeah, if I look at how I'd like to model my data warehouse, Kimball style, he's been around for a long time, and then sometimes you meet other people and you talk about modeling techniques, and then you drop a couple of things and they'll be like, what, slowly changing dimension, what? And I was just like, yeah, there's this great book written 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You should really read it. And then so yeah, it's getting easy to get into the data world, or easier at least, with Power BI, just connecting to a database, get the data, make visualization, everyone's happy, but there's way more around the technology, around the dashboard. It's about data quality, it's about data management, it's about metadata, it's about the whole BI process. So if you want a couple of pillars.
Yeah, sure.
yeah. So actually, I started studying again more on the it's called DM Book 2.
DM Book.
Yeah. Which is also like a framework within you can have your complete environment and your teams working, and I believe that going back to those kind of things, although they're very abstract, but trying to create a bridge between the abstract, between what we really should do, and getting it actually done within a company, creating those bridges. I believe that will be the next challenge for companies. So we've got the tools and we've got our reports, but they tend to break, or the business rules are different, or we're looking at different versions of the truth, or we're having major data quality issues. This has all been already thought of. in the 80s. Everything was better in the 80s.
I was born in
No,
the
but you
I
know,
was born in the 80s, so I'm a classic, so it's fine. I can live with that.
no, I'm not saying that it was better in the 80s, but they already thought of it in the
Yeah.
80s. So, you know, and now with this new technologies like Timextender, you know, it's actually easier to implement all these kind of things. You know, from Timextender you have all these kind of validations you can just really quickly set up, and then have different kind of error messaging, or you know, it's easier to find out if certain fields are not being filled out. You know, which makes your life a lot easier, but you're already, you know, getting into the whole data quality stuff, and everyone knows it, and everyone's saying like garbage in is garbage out, but still every company has data quality issues in either way.
Right.
So yeah, making it less about the technology and less about, but we can check these fields and we can see what's going on. It's also about the people whose job it is to fill out the data in the ERP systems, or the ERP systems that fills them out themselves. But for some reason, you know, they don't do what we want. So this whole robotics kind of thing is great, but sometimes it just does not do what it wants. And actually we're creating more black boxes. Because people don't really know what's going on anymore within their systems. So whenever I, as a BI consultant, come over and I was like, okay, so what's the business rule? How do these fields get calculated? Then people are like, well, I don't know. You should ask the supplier. And I guess in a certain way, they should know what's going on in their systems. Should be able to tell you like, oh wait, but you know, I can recalculate it myself if I wanted to. So,
Right.
yeah.
All right. So we are getting close to the end of the interview, and I still have a couple of questions actually. So, number one, would you? So from the experience that you have working with data,
Yeah.
tell me one specific case, and you can name the company or you don't name it. It doesn't really matter to me, but it's more the case. So something that you solve by using data, whether it was with Timextender,
Right.
or a combination of things, it doesn't really matter. But you saw, oh my God, this is so powerful. This thing that we have built is so amazing, and this is the value that we're producing. So what is it that excited you about that specific case?
Ooh, I've done a lot of amazing
Yeah, I
things,
can
obviously. No, it's about, for me, the way I try to work is what can I build for you today, which will help you tomorrow. And so I've created financial insights for business control, or financial control, where they cut down the time to end the year or finish up a month from a week or a month's work back to a single day.
Wow. Okay.
By delivering constant feedback on the bookings that are made and the changes that are happening. So business control opens up every morning their insights, and they check what's going on, and immediately they can give out the right orders to get the bookings right, or to get all the different things that they were checking right. And it made everyone's life better. At first, everyone was really like, I don't know about this, because, you know, you're meddling in my job, right? You're meddling with my thing. And after the project, it was like, okay, so now I know that when I do a booking like this, I also should do a booking like that, or really check it, or, you know, the system was updating every 5 minutes. So they've had near real time. There we go. Near real time views on whatever was happening in their system. so yeah, that made their lives eventually better. So they didn't have to go through piles and piles of errors at the end of the month or at the end of the year. But it was just one day. It was like, okay, so we're finishing up the final errors from yesterday, and that's it. Yeah. Press the button, done.
Off you go. Yeah.
So that always really excites me whenever people are happy with what was created for them, and they can do their job more easily or quicker, or they've got new insights on whatever is important for their job. That really excites me. And I guess, you get that every project that you do. So that's great, but it's oh my God, it's so cliche, but it's really about the journey.
That's fair. I agree with that
as well. If the journey is fun, and you learn a lot, and then when everything's there and everything works and it's perfect, I'm just like, okay, next. I'm getting bored. So yeah, those kind of things, or things. There's always lots and discussion within companies on the margins that are made, especially if people get bonuses on those margins. It's their money, so they want the biggest margin possible, right? But those people are also kind of smart, so they would change the system in multiple ways to get the biggest margin. I mean, eventually, it levels out, because the finance department is not stupid, but for some reason they think they can get away with it, and then delivering insights in such a way, especially through like storytelling or these kind of things, where, okay, so this is what you put in, this is what finance changed, this is the invoices that eventually got sent through our suppliers, so this is the final margin. It made the discussion about all these kind of things so much easier. And instead of every morning I had to talk to a bunch of different people, like, my margin isn't wrong, and what did you do in the system, and you fucked it up. It was more about, okay, so I saw that this invoice was booked. Can I please see it, because I think my supplier made a mistake. It's a completely different discussion, and it's more adding value to the company, that the purchasers or the sellers are now also involved in the different kind of what backend or back office actually is doing, and the different kind of agreements they have with our suppliers, and can we make them a little bit sharper, can we make them a little bit cheaper, and then the company is going to buzz more.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's and we can support that, and that's amazing, and I love that very much.
Thank you, sir. I have one last question, and this is, I mean, there is an element of data involved, but it's one of those I'm gonna make you think for a minute in the answer kind of question. So if you had all the money in the world, all the power in the world, all the data in the world, what would you do?
Is world peace an acceptable answer?
It comes as an answer often, I can tell you that.
Oh wow, that is a big question to drop on someone. I don't think actually the world is ready for it though, but and I'm not really sure if it actually can be done, or if it's actually, how do you say that, desirable, or it should be desirable. But if you have complete transparency on everything, I mean, I have all the power in the world, right? So I could then create complete transparency on everything. It would solve a lot of things, like, I don't know, fake news, and where can I get my gas the cheapest, or why is my gas so expensive in the first place? I guess this is now a hot topic because of the war. But I'm not really sure if everyone's ready for such truths. So I'm not really sure if that would be my final answer.
Well, it's your answer today. Let's put it like that.
It is my answer today, and I guess for a lot of things, if you have insight in the data, which is not necessarily for a company, but also your personal data. So, what is how do you spend your money? What do you spend your money on? But also, and a lot of companies are already rolling this out. Having more AI kind of types. I have a smart buttons on my heating system, which checks if the sun's out or not, and then just
that's amazing. Yeah, that's
accordingly if they need more or less heat from the system. These kind of things. This is it's also a little bit Minority Report, I guess, but at the end, those systems are doing automated decisions for you. And I guess if I have to take a look at BI or data science, having automated decisions is the very, very end of the line. You are super mature when you have your system do automated decisions for you. But the system's not perfect. My heating system, it's not perfect. The sun might be out, but it might still be like, I don't know, very cold outside or whatever.
-5.
So I still would love some heat. This is just a stupid example, but the systems is not perfect. So you should always have insights on the decisions that are being made for you within your environment. So if we would have like more personal dashboarding or a home dashboard which shows you what's my heater doing, what are my solar panels doing, what is the current state of I don't know what, those kind of insights would actually or could improve your life, I guess. So yeah, more
transparency then.
More transparency. Yeah, and it just pops into my head, and I'm not really sure. We haven't a lot of time, but I saw an article from the CEO from Timextender actually, telling everyone that the machine economy is coming, and we need the tools, and we have the tools to actually challenge and make the machine economy which I completely agree with, and then I'm gonna grab back onto what I said earlier, and this is a nice little circle. We really need the people to do it, and I guess that's my message. Like, we really need the people to do it, and we really need to create not only insights on the data, but also insights on the flow of the data. So where does all this data come from, and why is it like this, and how can I as a person manipulate it to get a better system or a cheaper bill, or I guess that's what's it about.
Thank you very much, and you're just giving me the cue to close the interview, thanking you one more time for this fantastic interview. I had a lot of fun. And also to say empowering the world with data, mind, and heart, which is basically what you were suggesting. So it's all about the people using data in the right level to make the world a better place. So with that said, thank you for your time. It's going to be amazing when I release this interview, and looking forward to this.
Thank you very much.
And
and this platform.
And if you are listening to this in YouTube, you know, I'm not a YouTuber, but you can subscribe, you know how to find the button. I'm not going to point to anything. And if you are seeing this in our blog, please subscribe. I'm having a lot of fun talking to incredible people like Daniel, where I'm learning a lot about data. So have a good day, everybody, and speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.